Stored here at church for safekeeping and remembering, there is a ledger. It's a record of the building committee dating from 1909, a committee appointed by the Reverend A.D. Berry, quote, for the purpose of erecting a new church building on the site where the old Baptist church building stands, close quotes. It chronicles the official intent of the people called First Baptist Church of Cumberland to build this. The ledger is not electrifying. It plods along, plodding. It reads a little bit like the biblical book of Numbers. In fact, it's a lot about numbers. How, for instance, the congregation general contracted the construction all the way down to hangers and anchors, yet resolutely, patiently, undeterred by setbacks, stayed fixed on the goal. So here we are, today, still after so many years. Remarkable. And this is but one very tangible measure of the largesse that lands us here today, the will of some people long past with a vision and the will to carry it through. From the foundation beneath our feet to the modified octagonal ceiling above, we can't see the foundation of this space, but we know it's down there, holding us up here. The cornerstone of the building was laid Sunday, September 1st, 1912. Had to be a Sunday, right? These walls shot up above it, composed of steel, reinforced poured concrete with walls 18 inches thick. The committee had hoped at one point to afford a brick facade structure like the German church down the street, US 40. Well, we're Baptists. That proved a financial stretch. So they went with reinforced concrete. Instead, the German church building now stands empty. Cumberland First Baptist Church does not. Just imagine, though, church members with horses and wagons hauling gravel for miscellaneous construction needs, while additional sand and gravel was delivered to the railroad siding and met by members to help deliver it, concrete and all. Imagine the concrete being mixed on site, and then thousands of cubic yards of it, just with, a hoist and boom raised, delivered to the destination, but poured and built and raised, coming together over time. Next, consider this foundation and these walls from the relative comfort of, as Kathy pointed out, our solid oak pews you're sitting in. Trees gave their lives for our benefit here. Every Sunday we gather and complain about how hard they are or uncomfortable they are. Trees would beg to differ. Notice that we are sitting in a concentric seating pattern of arcs or polygon fragments with aisles that radiate down here to the chancel and floors that ramp up to the front like a 19th century theater. That's so everybody can see everything they need to see, and sometimes a little more. Technically, we're sitting in a modified Akron plan construction. That's after Akron, Ohio. Some of you know this. Also known as a combination plan, with both worship and education in mind. Originally, it was just this part of the building and back there, what we call the back of the sanctuary. And this was for worship, and that was for education. People would worship here, and they would recess there. And our building then was designed for worship and for learning the faith, those two things. An interesting footnote, this building coincided with the height of the Sunday school movement. and a growing interest in poor children's education, as well as education of the masses. But the congregation adopted then a style of architecture committed to serious study of the faith. And I like that. And I bet you do too. How seriously do we take the education of the faith? That's a question for our age, for our moment. How seriously do we attend to it, avail ourselves of opportunities for it? But these two spaces could often be combined or joined through the use of a movable partition, which would have been back here, just where our rockers are seated there. And, either those pockets would literally drop into the floor or slide into the wall or roll up into the ceiling or accordion style or whatever. But Cumberland used to have such a partition, and regardless of the style, the plan promoted efficiency of movement by congregants between worship and Sunday school. It was kind of a package deal. Which brings me to, again, the detail that, of course, without which no visual tour of the sanctuary would ever be complete, and that's these exquisite art glass windows already pointed out by Kathy and the kids, whose depictions of Jesus are lessons all their own. They tell us a lot about our faith, don't they? They tell us about its welcome. They tell us about the acceptance and affirmation of us just because we are, just because we are children, because we're children of God. The cost of these stained glass windows, all right, they are fashioned by German craftsmen. Any guesses? According to the ledger, $600. Indeed, the approximate cost of the whole building, according to church records, wait for it, $15,000, $15,000. But all of this is only one measure of what a church is, right? What it has become through the years and remains. What it will be in the future. This church building itself has long been a symbol of stability in this community, reflecting its original charter that, and I quote again, a community could not be ideal without a church. I wonder how well we echo those words in our thinking and commitments. Do we believe them? Well, you do. I suppose you wouldn't be here, but more widely, to what extent that's true? It's a good question. On many social levels, this sentiment was undoubtedly true over the years. Certainly the locus of life and worship for this people of faith and community was the building. It would be difficult, in other words, to cohere as a people without the building. We've talked from time to time about what if we sold the building and we're just God's people? I'm not sure that'd go very well. And yet, consider the opposite as well, that apart from this people, from you and me, in fact, called not just to any purpose, but to a vibrant and high-minded purpose, a faith purpose, a gospel purpose. Apart from us and those who've come before, this building means nothing. Nothing. We are indeed not a building. We love our building, but we're something different. We're a holy temple. We're a spiritual dwelling place. We're a body. We're a family of God. And the two passages that Kathy shared today speak to our congregational heart, to the core identity of us. And when we look at those passages carefully, we can identify key governing ideas that recur throughout the biblical record of early church, the New Testament record of early church. They are built on the analogy of the church as building. So we get cornerstone, foundation, structure, dwelling place, temple. But elsewhere we get even more intimate analogies, that of the analogy of the human body. But beneath all such analogy lie deeper realities still. What realities? Grace undergirding us, wisdom guiding us, peace connecting us, joy energizing us, love enveloping us. This is who we are. This is who we have been and shall be. All on the basis of witness to the holy and sacred core of all life, which you and I have received through the witness of Jesus, and we accept it as such. We each experience it differently, uniquely, yet the reality itself, that is universal. We receive it according to who we are, but it is stable, it is reliable, it is true. But I want to ask you to consider how this faith community has upheld you, shaped you, formed and encouraged and uplifted you. How has it? How does it? How might it? Think about where you sit, to where your eyes are drawn. Think of the emotions that you feel, the thoughts that you think, the sounds of voices in your ears, hopefully not just my voice. Consider, though, your fellow worshipers, the crazy, stunning things that kids say here and have said here from this pew down front. Think of the power of music. Think of the echoing of it still off the walls here. The challenges of thought and action you have carried away from here through the years. How have you walked away changed from this place? Or consider, what would it mean to you if you were to walk to this one spot on the face of the earth, 116 Muessing, and there were no church here anymore? Happens. No community of faith here anymore. No gathering that was expressive of your life here anymore, of your struggles and your hopes and your loves, of your questions, your assurances. Where would that leave you? Where would that leave you? How would your life be different? Less, perhaps, than what it is. These, of course, are questions of meaning, the meaning of place, its physical hold on hearts and imaginations. They're not simple questions, and they will yield many answers. But to get at them may be to begin to embrace just what we've got here and what we must struggle to hold on to here, as well as what we must endeavor to do to share here more broadly and more earnestly what we've got here. Which is why you have this sheet on which to write your own statement of these matters, I suppose. It's not a very interesting beginning of a statement, because it's open-ended and intended to be so. I want you to fill it out. I want you to put something down. Use one of those silly pencils we have in the pews if you don't have a pen. I want you to write something just for today, because it'll change. We're an evolving community, as it says at the top. And I want you to leave it in the back there. And I'm going to speak some of these, say some of these at our annual gathering, because that's part of why we're doing this. We're doing this because as a people, we gather from time to time to look back in order to look forward. And this is the opportunity to participate in a snapshot of time and to understand that we're in a stream that is enduring. It came before us, it will follow us. And the question is, what makes the church? And my partial answer is what always has. It's what Kathy was trying to get from the kids. The people. It's about us and how we love here today, how we learn here today, how we live and die here today, how we serve and sacrifice here today, how we risk and venture and encounter here today. Here we gather to know and be known, to wait and listen for clarity of purpose and action. Here we keep coming, though with, kind of a postmodern rhythm of coming. We don't all come every Sunday as in days of yore. We come when we're able. We come when we feel like it. We come when we're ready. And I long ago decided that you're a better judge of when you need to be here than I am. Not that the pastor loves that, but that's the reality of what it is. And I accept it wholeheartedly, deep in my heart. Because you keep coming, because we keep responding to the allure of this thing called gospel, a way of living and loving rooted in the mystery of grace we have come to know, you and I have come to know, in the way of Jesus. It is the forgiving way. It is the reconciling way. It is the inclusive way. It is a way that dares to embrace difference, as Jesus embraced difference, that insists on standing with the vulnerable, especially as Jesus stood with the vulnerable, and that continues to worship with imagination and to peer into the holy mystery of who and why we are. Things are moving, folks. They are reconfiguring briskly in culture and in faith. Rapid change will continue to rap at the church's door. People will keep coming with questions, with doubts, with truths to speak that we will need to hear and respond to. Issues of authority will continue to confront the assumptions of our faith. We will need to stand up for some things and for people. This is abundantly evident in our present moment, that we are here to stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. If we are anything, we are that. If Jesus brought anything, it was that. And this will be and should continue to be, as it was for Jesus, costly. Costly. But as long as we are here, and this church family gathers, let us resolve to greet it all with a trust in God's faithfulness, in God's buoyancy that lifts us up through all of it, and which is always more than equal for the moment, whatever the moment. And a deep passion for the journey that remains ours together, remains the journey of this rare, holy people called Cumberland First Baptist Church. Amen.